Welcome to Change Management in Loops. This course focuses on loops in systems thinking. Now we are embarking on a journey to explore the fascinating world of loops in systems thinking. By the end of this lecture, you will have a comprehensive understanding of how systems thinking can be applied to the real-world events. Let's delve into the intricate world of loops within systems thinking. Non-linear thinking. As you may remember, we have examined how causal relationships were formed and developed. A structure consisting of causal relationships gains dynamism as it grows sufficiently. We sweat in the hot. When we sweat, our body's cooling mechanisms become active. To reduce body temperature, blood flow to our skin increases and sweat evaporates. Thus, our body temperature decreases. Sweating also increases, as it will help our body cool down. In this new situation, the body temperature, which is no longer variable causing sweating, has become the variable affected from sweating at the same time. Thus, a loop of mutual causal relationships between body temperature and sweating was formed. The main difference between the loops and causal relationships in systems thinking is that one of the behaviors they create is linear, and the other is non-linear. Loops produce non-linear behaviors. Therefore, according to systems thinking, in a loop we are affected by the outcome of our own behaviors. In the real world, in physical world, or in business, most relationships are non-linear, or are, in other words, generated in loops. Linear thinking is seen by many as the opposite of non-linear thinking, or thinking in loops. Systems thinking can be used as a language to discuss the complex and interconnected issues that green transformation managers face on a daily basis. In this context, causal loop diagrams can be thought of as sentences in which key variables, nouns in a system, are identified, and causal relationships between them are expressed through links, verbs. It offers the possibility of combining several loops to create a short story about a specific problem or topic. Causal loop diagrams consist of four basic elements: variables, the connections between them, the markers on the links, which show how the variables are connected to each other, and the sign of the loop, which shows what kind of behavior the system will produce. By representing problems or issues from a causal point of view, it is possible to better understand complex behaviors caused by structural forces. As an example, let's take the process of integrating the sustainability approach into an organization with green transformation, for which the management team of a business is responsible. Initially, there was a great interest in the program, and the demand for training was high. In addition, announced successes were achieved in local teams. But over time, let's follow this sustainability adventure together. 1. Specify variable names. The first step in creating a causal story is to identify the names or variables that are important to the subject. In the example of sustainability, important variables can be defined as follows. Management needs to take some changes for sustainability studies. The activities required for these changes will attract attention within the company. There will be a need to provide some trainings for the changes that the management wants to realize. This need necessitates the inclusion of a segment of employees in training. When employees become aware of training and changes, they may begin to worry about their impact on themselves and in the future. This anxiety creates a perception of threat. Employees will be able to develop resistance due to the character of the change and the resistance behavior arising from their future concerns. 2. Draw the connections. Once the variables have been identified, it is necessary to fill in the verbs to determine how they relate to each other and how one variable affects another. Links are labeled with an S or O. For example, increasing sustainability activities increases the demand for sustainability training, an S link. After defining this causality relationship, we can define that a new causal relationship will take place that increases sustainability activities due to the understanding that develops with the provision of trainings. Thus, we get a loop. Thus, we have obtained a loop consisting of two causal relationships. As a result of sustainability activities, this loop may create some uncertainties for employees and a threat perception arising from these uncertainties. In this case, we will have a new system loop. However, the increase in sustainability activities increases the perceived threat, another S-link, which leads to employee resistance, an S-link. When employee resistance increases, sustainability activities will be adversely affected, and activities will decrease, an inverse causal relationship. Thus, our new loop will take its final shape. With this example, we created the story of how sustainability efforts develop in a company with two system loops. 3. Label the loop. System loops are made up of causal relationships. Therefore, it represents a pattern of behavior with the synthesis of the same directionality and oppositeness behaviors of relationships. The pattern of behavior represented by the loops is formed by the interaction of the causal relationships that make up the loops. To do this, we first translate the directionalities of the causal relationships into plus and minus signs. Same way relationships, plus. Opposite-oriented relationships are defined as minus. The plus and minus in the loop are multiplied by each other, and the behavior of the loop is revealed. There are basically two types of cyclical behavior. Balancing loops, B. Balancing loops are those in which the product of the directionalities of the causal relationships that compose them is minus. These loops produce a fluctuating pattern over time. Reinforcing loops, R. Reinforcing loops are those that are plus as a result of the product of the directionalities of the causal relationships that compose them. These loops produce an increasing pattern over time. Reinforcing loops reinforce behaviors that are elicited by causal relationships. These behaviors can sometimes occur in the form of a continuous increase in performance and sometimes a continuous decrease in performance. In this case, let's take a closer look at the behaviors in our story. Our first loop is a reinforcing loop and expresses an ever-increasing pattern of behavior. In other words, as sustainability education increases, sustainability activities will increase. And as sustainability activities increase, sustainability trainings will also increase. On the other hand, if we look at our other loop, we see that sustainability activities increase the perceived threat. When the perceived threat increases, there is an increase in employee resistance. Employee resistance is restricting sustainability activities. Thus, reduced sustainability activities lead to a decrease in the perceived threat in the same direction. The decrease in the threat has the effect of reducing the resistance of the employees in the same direction. As a result, sustainability activities are increasing as the pressure on sustainability activities decreases. In such a continuum, the pattern of behavior also emerges in a fluctuating structure. Don't forget, once you've completed the connections, you can look at the number of O's to determine if the loop is reinforcing or stabilizing. It is a loop booster with two S connections. For example, the loop between sustainability training and activities is an empowering one, as one increase increases the other. However, the loop between sustainability activities and employee resistance has an IT link, which is a balancing loop, since one increase decreases the other. Foretalk through the loop. Once you've completed the loop diagram, it's important to go over the loops and tell the story to make sure the loops explain the behavior. For example, the sustainability story states, the first sustainability activities increased the demand for training, which in turn boosted the overall sustainability activities. However, as the number of activities increased, the perceived threat increased, which led to increased employee resilience and a decrease in overall sustainability activities. Five storytelling systems thinking and causal loop diagrams are powerful tools for understanding complex issues and explaining them to others. These diagrams can be used to visualize interrelationships and describe the behavior of the system. With practice, it is possible to better understand and explain the relationships between systems using these tools.